This is the 2020 Can-Am Maverick X3 Xrc. Today, I'll give you a quick tour and walkthrough of the interior features, and yes, 100% we're going on our first test drive. I'm Ransom from UTV Source, and this is the Can-Am 2020 Xrc walkaround. So let's start with the driver's side cockpit. There's two switches over here, one for the headlamps, and then the other for the in-out switch for the winch. To the right of the steering wheel is an override switch that allows you to bypass any electronic failures, typically with the gas pedal if you're stuck in mud. And then just like all Can-Ams, you've got an electric push to start button. Now let's move to the gauge cluster. And this has actually been redesigned for the 2020 model. I like it a lot better than the ones that we reviewed for the 2019. We almost bought a 2019, but this is definitely one of the features that I really like seeing. They've organized the information a lot better. There's a far left display, which is your fuel level, and then there's the engine temperature on the right side. But this is all controlled by the D-pad on the right side of the steering wheel. And there's just a menu button there that basically lets you flip through a few different settings. You can go to sport or eco mode. Change the trip A to B. It's a very standard feature in cars. And then there's also the ability to see a little mini XRC, the bottom cutaway right here on the right side. You'll see the bottom wheels are lit up. Well, that just means that the rear diff is locked. Now, I would be totally remiss if I did not mention the sound that the RC makes. The stock exhaust note sounds very similar to previous year models, but it does it for me every time. Check it out. Thing sounds freaking sweet. So let's move into the passenger side of the cockpit here. Suicide doors, obviously, with little strap latch, but the first thing I want to mention is the adjustable seats, right? So the seats are very comfortable. They're a little bit hard to move, actually, if you're not sitting in them, but they do move forward and back. Behind the passenger side seat is the battery, which is not covered. Little pro tip there. The gear shift here just has, your standard reverse, high and low gears, pretty typical if you're familiar with any Can-Ams. So just yesterday, we installed a car-to-car radio and an intercom from Rugged Radios. This came custom with their X3 mounting bracket, so we actually had to cut up the car. Wasn't super excited about that, but it looks great, and the radios are awesome. They're all wired in. So this is the D-pad that controls the gauge cluster we just looked at. You got your driving mode, the menu system, your dynamic power steering, high, medium, and low, and then your trip, A, B, and reset buttons. Now to the right of that is the front diff lock. If you want to manually set that into front diff lock or leave it in auto. And then to the right of that is the ability to toggle trail and rock modes, which uses different feedback from the car itself to deliver locking differential. So it may use torque, it may use engine speed. I read the manual on this, and it's like fairly complex in the way that they're delivering trail and rock modes. Now what I'm showing you here is just the glove box. It's actually got a lot of storage in it, and it came with a toolkit that has all the different tools you need to change your belt or operate the T30 screw or the 17 millimeter. It's got all that stuff in there, which is super nice. Now Can-Am did give us two medium-sized cup holders here. A little bit inconvenient because they're behind you, and I'm not sure how well they're actually going to hold your drinks, but they are there. A little bit of extra storage. Now, the last thing I want to mention about the interior is the seats. They are fairly comfortable, and the seat belts are pretty neat how they retract. And that makes it a lot easier for putting on versus the fitted 5-point harnesses. The trick for this is to actually pull down on the lap belts and then tighten the sides. You kind of push the lap belt into your legs and then tighten the sides on the left and right sides. And then we also, since we installed the Rugged Radio's intercom kit, we have the helmet plugins or headset plugins zip tied right to the opening in the seat. So it was actually nice that that seat had that opening there. So let's talk quickly about the front end of the car. The suspension on this thing is just absolutely awesome. There's 5 different settings that you can adjust on every single shock. We got sway bar links up here. There's skid plates under the entire car, including this lower A-arm we're showing you. And for the wheel and tire combo, we've got 32-inch Maxxis Liberty tires from the factory on a 15-inch bead-locked wheel, and they just look so awesome. It really completes the look. Now, moving to the back of the car here, one thing that I wanted to mention, Can-Am made an adjustment with the 2020 models by putting a pickup point on the radius rod plate. You can see there's a hook there. It makes it so easy to strap it down onto a trailer. And there's a pickup point in the front as well. I'm not sure if that's specific to the RC because it has a winch there, or if all the 2020 models have that, but it's super easy to strap this thing down. The cargo area of the 2020 Xrc hasn't really changed much, but it's super awesome. Very spacious and a lot of openings for you to attach straps and ratchets to if you want to strap down your own ice chest, or also install various aftermarket solutions like a spare tire mount. It's also very sturdy. You'll see shoe prints on here from where I was installing the antenna for the radio. This car also comes mounted with an adjustable review mirror. There's a knob on the back of it that you can loosen and adjust it fully. To be honest, I don't know if that's standard or not, but thought it was worth mentioning. Another unique feature to the Xrc, besides the winch and skid plates, is the roof. And a very awesome add-on to this is the Zeus fasteners, DZUS. It's basically a self-ejecting cam fastener that you can install with one hand while you're holding the phone, right? So if you want to just take your roof off for the day and then leave it, you totally can. So that's it for my walk around of the 2020 Can-Am Xrc. I know I didn't cover every feature of the car. If you have something else you want to throw in that's important or a standout feature of the RC, leave it in the comments below. All right, let's take this thing for a ride. So I was fortunate enough to have Charles, one of my good friends, drive for me here. And he's got a couple of years experience driving IMCA modifieds in a dirt track. And he actually knows these roads really well and does a great job of pushing the car to its limits and keeping us safe since we are on public roads here. And so now we're headed to what we call Spider Web Way, and you'll see why in just a minute. And it's just a long dirt road to get there. We top out on the highway at around 75 and get up to about 82 here on this dirt road. I mean, more than enough horsepower. We had just done some suspension modification and aired the tires up to the spec in the handbook, which is 18 in the front and 22 in the rear, and that ended up being too much, really. It was a little bit loose in the back end because of so much tire pressure, so we'll probably need to drop that down to maybe 18 in the rear and 16 in the front, something like that. But the overall suspension was liquid smooth. I mean, it felt like we were really just driving, floating on air, essentially. And now we're starting to get to the cool part of this run, where it's it's a county road, but it's kind of hidden, and no one drives it or no one knows about it. You'll see we start collecting some spider webs here, and that's why it's called Spiderweb Way. So once we get to the end of this run, we just turn around and drive it really hard all the way back. So I'll let you guys just take a look at this footage here and enjoy. Alright, y'all, that's about it for this video. I'm so blessed to have this car and super pumped about some upcoming trips we have planned, so we can keep testing the XRC out in different terrain types, maybe some rocks here in Texas. The plan is to naturally upgrade it when we find shortcomings, so if you guys want to follow along my journey here, be sure and like and subscribe and follow us on Instagram or at utvsource.com. I'm Ransom from UTV Source, and we'll see y'all on the next one.